Hello everyone, welcome back to Total Football Talk. So we're going to look at all of this news coming out of Manchester United, and as always there's tons, so let's dive straight in and we'll look at the breaking news. At the minute it looks like Dermot, Manchester United's under 21 goalkeeper, I think he's actually 22 now, but I think he is going to potentially be in line for his first ever start for Manchester United away to the game against Leicester today. So Onana's apparently got an illness. I believe there's going to be a late fitness test that was coming in just seconds before I started recording from Samuel Luckhurst from the MEN. And which would you prefer? I suppose that's the question. Would you prefer to see me, as in Dermot not me, and instead of Onana? I mean, at the best times, Onana's not the greatest goalkeeper on the planet, and if he's only partially fit, or just scraping past the fitness test because of illness, which would you prefer to see Onana in nets against the inexperienced of young Dermot here? I think I would probably go with Dermot, if I'm being honest. I would give Onana a rest. Eli Harrison probably will be the sub goalkeeper on the bench. He's a brilliant young goalkeeper. He's been fantastic in the youth team as well. And there's a lot of talk about him. He's great with his feet. I've seen that. His distribution is very good. He makes some very good saves. So, we have options, but obviously they're quite young, and obviously it's away from home. It's not at Old Trafford, it's away at Leicester. So there will be a bit of pressure on whoever is in nets. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they actually rushed Onana back just in time, because they probably would prefer that experience in nets, even though the experience of Onana hasn't really been that great because he's been dreadful for most of the season. I know he did okay in the last game, but the majority of the season he's not been great. So we'll just have to see what happens here. But the minute the breaking news is that will be starting against Leicester. And then we'll move on with the next little bit of news, and that is, so there's news about Jadon Sancho. There's news about Braga's Roger Fernandes. There's also some stuff. Then I'll talk about the little bits on Arnold and Woodward and what Jim Ratcliffe had to say about them. But let's look at what the current situation is with Jadon Sancho and Chelsea. And it's according from Fabrizio Romano, Chelsea may indeed pay Manchester United compensation to avoid fulfilling the obligation to buy Jadon Sancho, but that is not the intention at this time, and United do not want him back. Now, I've talked about this before. Manchester United don't need the headache of Jadon Sancho coming back. I think United would prefer if there was the chance for Jadon Sancho to stay with Chelsea to sort of obligate that contract that Manchester United and Chelsea have, and have him stay there. Because if he comes back, yes, there will be a sort of penalisation fee for him, but we will then we'll have another player on our books that we have to try and figure a way out of selling in the summer. And I just think that gives Manchester United a headache that they don't need. We've got enough players to try and get rid of. I know some are walking for free, but there are other players that need to be sold on, and we just could be doing with Jadon Sancho not coming back. He's obviously fallen off a cliff for Chelsea. He's not doing the business. And Mr. Freedom Fighter needs to sort of buck up his ideas and find a way to start playing well again, because we don't want him back. We don't need him back. And time's moved on. Since he's left, the club's changed. The managers changed. The coaching staff's changed. The backroom staff's changed. So everything's changed. And I just don't think they need the headache of Jadon Sancho coming back here. So that's where we are with the Jadon Sancho news. But apparently there's more news that was coming out from Sean Connolly 85, and he was saying that United have advanced their interest in Braga's Roger Fernandes. United are confident that they could seal a deal for Fernandes in a similar package to Dorgu. Now, is he the young lad that we're looking at instead of Quenda? Have we sort of realised that Chelsea have done a brilliant deal, even though Quenda is young and still got that little bit of inexperience? He is an impressive winger slash sort of wing back, and I think if he goes to Chelsea, he's a great signing. I did want him. I thought he would be our marquee signing for the summer. He's not. And now we're obviously looking at alternative options, and maybe this young kid Fernandes will be cheaper, and maybe we will get our hands on him, and he will come in the summer. But again, he's another young option, young prospect, which obviously seems to be the way we're going to build a squad going forward. But it does still concern me that we're not still looking at experience at the minute. So that's where we are with Fernandes. Now, on to some of the stuff that's been talked about. I didn't talk about it yesterday, but there was obviously the Sir Jim Ratcliffe with the Times, and he talks about the owner, not the ownership of the club, but the people who were running the club in terms of Arnold and Woodward. And this is what Ratcliffe had to say. Sir Jim had to say, "I wouldn't have tolerated Ed Woodward or Richard Arnold. Richard was a rugby man, and he didn't even understand football. Ed didn't have the credentials to manage a club." To manage the club, he was a merchant banker and accountant. He wasn't a chief executive. The management of Manchester United have been given a huge amount of rope. The owners just managed the club and left the football side alone, and they've made a lot of very poor decisions over the last 12 years. Stupid thing. They've made a complete cock up of it. I don't subscribe to the school of thought that says, well, that's just life in football. Ups and downs, things happen. Because if I look at Real Madrid and Barcelona and Bayern Munich, they don't do that. They just stay at the top. Now, I agree with what Sir Jim Ratcliffe says. We are of the Barcelona, Bayern Munich and Real Madrid ilk, but we are also nowhere near that at the minute. We are those clubs wouldn't be languishing in the bottom half of the table as we are. They would certainly not be. Heads would roll, and those clubs have always found a way to make sure that they're in and around, kind of fighting for at least their championship, if not the Champions League. So we have fallen off. Sir Jim is right about the people who did run the club, Arnold and Ed Woodward, awful. They run the club, they run it appallingly. They weren't the right people. It was jobs to the boys. The Glazers just were using these guys because they helped them sort of in the purchase of Manchester United, and it's almost like they give them free rein to do whatever they want. And these gentlemen have absolutely ballsed everything up for us and left us out to, have left us high and dry, as have the Glazers, because they never reined it in. They never understood what it took to make Manchester United the club that it was. They took money out. They knew how to do that, that's for sure. But they just left us in a state, and they let these two guys run it into wreck and ruin. So they're all sort of accountable for this, absolutely 100%. But get your thoughts in. Do you think we are of the Bayern Munich and Barcelona, Real Madrid ilk? Is that where we should be in terms of a club? Or do you think we deserve to be languishing where we are at the minute? Get your thoughts and get your comments in below. And also, if you have any thoughts on the Jadon Sancho one, please get your thoughts in. What do you think about Onana getting dropped today? Or not dropped, sorry, but if he doesn't play, do you think Mee can do a good job? Please get your comments in below. Would love to hear what you guys think. Thank you for all the comments so far. Really appreciate them. Been absolutely amazing. If you're enjoying the content, a like and a little subscribe, bottom right hand corner of the screen. Give it a wee tap, would be absolutely amazing. Thank you very much for everyone who's been sharing the content too. Okay, guys, we'll crack on with the next little bit. So this is what Sir Jim had to say about Nice, which was absolutely fascinating. So Sir Jim, on why he bought Nice, I can't honestly answer why we did it. Wow, it's quite a difficult question with Nice, the French league. You can buy a club for 100 million. It's much cheaper. But I don't particularly like enjoying going to the Nice games because they have some good players, but the level of football is not high and it doesn't get me excited. So Jim has talked about Manchester United being a thing of fun for him, which I don't like. I don't like the terminology fun. It's not fun, especially what we're watching at the minute. It's dreadful. So, obviously he's saying that it almost sounds like Nice was a mistake. He bought it. He didn't really want it. I'm not entirely sure. I think he just wanted to be part of the whole football kind of revolution. He wanted to be involved as someone who maybe came from a background of petrochemicals, but actually wanted to be associated with football. So Nice was a way in, and unfortunately, Nice hasn't worked, and they've failed. And I had hoped that they would learn their lessons from what they've failed at Nice and bring it to Manchester United. But unfortunately, they've actually brought their mistakes with them as opposed to, the things they've learned so far, because they seem to be making more and more mistakes. But that's what he had to say about Nice. Get your thoughts in about that. What do you think about that? And this is what he had to say about David Moyes taking over from Sir Alex, which is also fascinating. I like David Moyes, and I think he's a really good manager. But to go from Sir Alex to David Moyes is not where I would have gone. Moyes stepped into the shoes of Ferguson, who had won 13 Premier League, had won 13 Premier League titles, had won 2 Champions Leagues, and you're handing it to a guy who'd never managed big players and had never won anything. He's not necessarily got the personality to stand in front of all them. I mean, we kind of knew that back in the day. We all hoped that David Moyes would do a good job. We know the stories that he talked to Rio Ferdinand about having conversations in terms of how to defend, with Phil Jagielka being an example, and Ferdinand not really understanding that, considering Rio Ferdinand was a much better player than Phil Jagielka. So yeah, we'll just have to see, kind of like what else Sir Jim has to come out with. Because as I said yesterday, he keeps talking, and my God, he keeps coming out with belters like this one. But yeah, poor David Moyes was on the end of that one. And then finally, we'll just look at, according to sources familiar with the financial market, who are based, it said lenders could raise between 1 billion and 1.5 billion in the finances to help United build the £2 million stadium, meaning 500 million of that would be kind of raised through equity sales. So, hello, my little son has just arrived. This is Ronan. Say hello.
Hi.
So, it looks like we're going to have to find a way to bring money in to help fund the rest of the stadium. So we will just have to see what happens with the stadium. And I'm going to leave it there, guys. But just quickly, how do you feel about the match today? Are you looking forward to the Leicester game? I know it's 7 o'clock tonight, but do you think we can get the win? I hope we do, for confidence, just to keep the confidence going. But Ronan, what do you think we're going to do today? By what do you think the score might be?
3-1.
I love it. He's feeling optimistic. Right, guys, thank you very much for joining us. I'll leave it there. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.